Today we're going to be talking about how to create an online course. Many of you have something inside of you that you want to be able to get out to the world, and you've always wondered, do I have what it takes to create an online course? Well, today we're going to help you figure that out. We're going to just jump right in. I'm going to start with number one. When it comes time for you to create and develop and deliver an online course, you have to ask yourself the question, is what you want to teach, is it something that your audience wants to hear? So in other words, what does your audience want? That's an incredibly large question to ask. What does your audience want? Because nobody wants to create a product that nobody wants, because if you create a product that nobody wants, guess what? Nobody's going to buy it. And so you have to be able to figure out, does my audience want this? Now, let me tell you some things not to ask. What you don't want to ask is somebody else doing this. Actually, if someone else is doing what you're going to be doing, chances are that's a pretty good sign that you should go ahead and do it, because that means that the market wants it. For instance, somebody says, nobody ever says, hey, well, somebody's already invented a cookbook, so I don't think I'm going to go do another cookbook. Well, no. Society has proven that the marketplace can endure thousands upon thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of cookbooks. So yeah, go ahead and create a cookbook, right? So don't think just because somebody else has already done what you want to do that it's not a good idea to do it. Yes, that's actually proof that you should do it, because the marketplace is proving that it's got room for your product. So that should validate you, not scare you away. So what does your audience want? Here's how I would tell you to do that. First thing that you want to do is you want to be able to create some kind of survey that you can deliver to be able to ask people what they want. Now, here's what you don't want to say in your survey. You don't want to say anything about your product. You don't want to say, hey, I've got a brand new online course here on how to filter water. Do you want it? No, don't say that. What you want to do is you want to be able to ask questions about the end result of whatever product you want to create and see if that's something that stimulates interest, okay? So you want to be able to survey them. So if you already have an email list or some kind of database, send them an email and saying, hey, if I was to do if I was to have a conversation, or if I was to do a teaching on such and such topic, what would you want to know? And literally survey them, get their input. Then after they give you the input, create what they said, and I promise you they will buy it. So you want to survey them. If you don't have a list, then a couple other ways that you can do surveys is just basically on your Facebook page or maybe with your friends and family. Just get some kind of feedback from them. Second thing under that particular point is blog posts. Okay, do blogs. Okay, write a blog about it and see if you get any traction with your blog. Or do Facebook Lives like I'm doing right here, right now, and see what kind of feedback that you get. Okay, and what I would encourage you to do is when you do a Facebook Live, do a Facebook Live around the topic that you want to create an online course for. So for instance, I've got an online course on how to launch your product in 28 days or less. I have an online course on how to get paid to podcasts. I've got an online course on how to launch a product without using a webinar. And I'm working on I've got an online course that I've done that I'm beginning to turn into a series called How to Launch a Product in 7 Days, okay, and starting with a high ticket. So what I do to test those theories out is I come on live just like this and I teach those particular things, and if it gets traction, then it tells me that it's something that an audience would want, and I could go on and create something and deliver something. So whatever it is that you want to teach, make sure that you've asked the question, is this something that an audience would want? Another way to find this out is if people consistently come to you and ask you a particular question about something, well, chances are that an audience wants that. I know that in my business, I get asked a lot of questions about technical things, like how do you set up email sequences? How do you target people on Facebook? How do you retarget them? What the heck is a Facebook pixel? Can you tell me what a funnel is? I don't even know what a funnel is. Isn't that something that you put gasoline in your car and you're saying that you can use this to create a 6-figure business? What? I've never heard of that before. So when I get questions like that, I know that these are all curiosity levels that a particular audience may have, and then I can build a product that those people are curious about, and I promise you that they will buy it. So number one, if you're thinking about creating an online course, you have to ask yourself the question, is the product that you're wanting to deliver, is it something that your audience wants? Number two, and this is a very, very important question, is are you qualified to teach that product? Are you qualified? In other words, do you have the knowledge or the information or the skill set in order to solve that problem. See, because the people that you're asking about whether they want information on this, they have a problem. And so you have to be able to identify that problem. What is the problem? What's the pain associated with that problem? And then you have to qualify or disqualify yourself, and you have to ask yourself the question, do you have what it takes in order to solve that problem? And if you don't, then it doesn't mean you have to give up on your idea. Okay, because there's plenty of different types of people who create online courses, and not every one of them is an expert, but some of them are. So if you're an expert at something and you can identify, you've asked your audience what they want, you've identified the problem and the pain associated with it, and you can say, hey, I can raise my hand, I can solve that problem, then you're qualified to be able to teach them how to do it. If you can't say it, then what you need is there's two other types of people that could do it. One is what we call the researcher. This is the person who knows nothing about anything, but they're great researchers, and they can go find the solutions from experts, package those solutions together, and present those solutions in one package, and people will pay for that because it's convenient. Then there's the reporter. The reporter is the person who goes, like the researchers, and finds it, but brings it back and teaches it as if it were their own, but yet gives credit where credit is due. So you can be an expert. That's somebody who has the answer based on your experience, and you can teach that. Or you can be a researcher. That's somebody who goes and finds the answers from experts and then packages it in a way that people want it. Or you can be a reporter. That's where you go find the answers. You teach somebody else's product, but yet you give them credit. And then, of course, there's the good old teacher. A teacher is just somebody who can teach any topic to anyone, and they would be intrigued. If you're one of those four things, then I would say, yes, you're qualified in order to teach it. But you have to make sure that you actually solve a problem. So step number one when creating an online course is, what does your audience want? You have to find that out. Step number two is you have to qualify yourself to be the person to solve that problem. Do you have the knowledge, information, or skill set in order to solve that problem? Okay. Step number three is, have you figured out what the steps are that they need in order to get the results? You've got to be able to formulate a step-by-step system in order for your client, your potential client, your student, so to speak, in order to get results. So, for instance, if I was creating an online course to teach you how to launch a product, I've put together an 8-step system that if you follow step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6, step 7, and step 8, when you get through those, you should be able to have a product ready to launch. In fact, you should have a product that is launched. That's an incredible tool, asset that you have, and that's sort of the key white flag, so to speak, that says I'm ready to launch a product, is when you've created a step-by-step system that if they follow it, your students will get results. That's step number three. Do you have a system? Now, let's talk about system for a second. There's a lot of online courses out there that create what we call the problem, solution, problem method, where they identify a problem, they bring a solution to it, but in the course of bringing a solution, they actually create another problem. Well, that's no bueno, okay? That's sort of bait and switch, so to speak. Now, it's great from a financial standpoint because you keep your students reliant upon you, but it's sort of sleazy and slimy, if you ask me, because it really never helps somebody. It just puts them in a cycle of pain, where they're consistently going from pain point to pain point to pain point, and they're paying you a lot of money for your product, and it really doesn't ever solve a problem. So don't do that. So what you want to do is you want to create a problem, you want to agitate that problem, and then you want to solve that problem. Okay, so you create a problem in their mind. Okay, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You know, it could be, you know, if you're, perhaps you've got an online business and you want to teach guys how to dress, right? Well, you want to teach them to dress for success. You have to create a problem first, because, no offense, but most of us bozos here have no idea that we're sloppy dressers. So what you have to do is you have to create a problem in their mind. You have to be able to paint a picture artistically that says, hey, dude, you got a problem, okay? You're probably getting passed up on jobs. How many dates have you been passed up on? You don't like who you look in the mirror. And listen, a simple change of outfit and wardrobe could help change that, could help the way that you look. Okay, so you can create a problem. And then you got to agitate that problem. And you got to agitate that problem by touching the pain. So you can't just say you got a problem. Now you got to go in and talk about how it manifests itself in their life. Like you're getting passed up on dates, you're getting passed up on jobs. You know, you're nobody's really taking you seriously. You're not even taking yourself seriously. because you don't like the way that you dress, you don't like the way you feel, you don't feel successful, and everybody else around you feels successful. That's agitating, and then you solve it. You say, hey, I've got an online course, 7 steps to dress for success, and if you do this, and then you can identify the results. We'll talk about that in a minute. Well, see, that's a step-by-step system. You can tell them to do step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6, step 7, and when they come through that, they should be able to have their problem solved. That's how you know if you're ready to create an online course. So number 1, what does your audience want? Number 2, you have to qualify yourself. Do you have the knowledge, information, or skill to solve the problem? Step 3, have you created a step-by-step system that, if followed, will produce results? Number 4, speaking of results, is what you are teaching, does it have a measurable result, either fiscally or productively? Okay, so when somebody comes through your online course, if you're going to sell this thing, there's got to be some kind of benefit. Okay, they either need to be able to make more money, or they need to be more productive in their task, or they need to learn how to, if you're teaching an online course on how to play piano, when they get through it, they better know how to play piano. Okay, whatever your course is entitled, okay, it needs to have produced that result, and that result has got to be measurable. And if it's not measurable, then I would tell you don't launch an online course. You've got to be able to process and think through the metrics of, if somebody comes through my teaching, what are they going to get out of it? And here's why this is important, for a few reasons. One, you are a filter, okay? So think of it, you are a filter. Your product is a filter. On the left side of that filter is the person and their problem and their pain. Then they come through the filter, and when they get on the other side of the filter, their problem solved, okay? So you are the filter. So you've got to be able to mention and talk about and measure what it looks like when they're on the other side of the filter. So it's easy to talk about their problem and their pain, but it's a lot more difficult to talk about their solution. So what does that filter look like? What do the metrics look like? Have you been able to give it a measurable result that will either produce finances or whether it will produce some kind of productivity? So I like using the piano result, okay? I love to play piano. And when I play piano, something magical and musical happens, right? But if I hear somebody that has no idea what they're doing on the piano, it just sort of cringes, right? So if I was creating an online course to teach somebody how to play piano, then I've got to be able to tell them, hey, when you come through this 12-week process, you're going to be able to you're going to be able to play any song by ear. You're going to understand how to modulate. You're going to understand how to improvise. I'll have to give 4 or 5 things if I'm creating an online course that produces a measurable result. So number 4 in our process is what you are teaching. Does it have a measurable result, either fiscally or productively? Now, listen. If you have something that actually will make somebody money, you can charge a lot of money for your online course, okay? So let's say that you're in real estate and you've got an online course that you believe is going to be able to take the everyday average Joe and turn them into some kind of real estate investor. Let's say that's your deal, okay? And you've processed this. You've already asked your audience what they want. Step 1, you believe that you're qualified to teach it. You have the knowledge, information, or skill set to solve that problem. That's step number 2. You've been able to create a step-by-step system that, if followed, will get them results. Step number 3. And you believe that if they do this, if they're going to be able to make 6 figures in their first year, you can charge a lot of money for that. But you've got to be able to put some kind of risk reversal in there that says, hey, I believe that this product will make you 6 figures, and if it doesn't, here's what I'm going to do about it, okay? You don't always have to give money back, but here's what I'm going to do about it. I'm going to offer you one-on-one coaching, or we're going to go in and critique your system, or I'm going to give you a couple extra bonuses just in case, or I'm going to extend your mastermind class for a year, or whatever it is. You can actually go in and do some risk reversal around that particular promise, and you can get results. So listen, the best kind of online courses to create are the ones that are going to produce fiscal productivity and growth for a client. I'm telling you, if you can get somebody out of their 9-to-5 job and into the laptop lifestyle, like I'm in Germany right now. I'm in Frankfurt, Germany, and I'm in a really cool hotel called the Moxie. This is an awesome place, the Moxie. Never heard of the Moxie before, but a night at the Moxieberry or whatever. So I'm looking for Will Ferrell somewhere. But I'm at a really cool place in Germany right now because I live the laptop lifestyle. That means that I have freedom and flexibility in my schedule to be able to travel the world and be able to teach folks just like you because I have a laptop, right? Some of you crave that, and if you can teach somebody how to be able to get out of their 9-to-5 job and to be able to do something like this, you can charge a lot of money because people crave it. You may only be able to teach people how to pay their mortgage, right? So, hey, what if I could create enough income for you where you could take care of your mortgage payment or your car payment? So if you can begin processing that, anything that gets somebody a financial bump, you can actually charge more money as opposed to if you're simply teaching them a skill set, okay? If I created an online course to teach you how to crochet, okay, not that I would because I don't know how to crochet, but if I was teaching an online course on how to crochet, but I didn't tell you or show you how to turn that skill set into money, well, I can't charge very much for it. I can probably only charge $27, $37, $47 for that, and people still would think that's high. Okay, because I'm not teaching you how to make money. I'm just simply teaching you a skill. And it's not a trade. But if you're teaching somebody a trade that's going to produce money in their pocket, you can charge upwards between $1,000, $2,000. We've even seen some go as high as $10,000 for an online course if it has coaching involved in it. So is what you're teaching, does it have a measurable result, either fiscally or productively? And if it does, then you can charge money, a lot of money, if it helps them out fiscally. You can still make money, just not as much if it only helps them out with a skill set. Number 5, you have to be able to ask yourself this question. How am I going to deliver this? Okay, if I'm thinking about creating an online course, okay, I've already figured out what my audience wants. I've done my surveys. I've done my Facebook Lives. I'm getting a lot of questions on it. I've qualified myself. I know that I've got the knowledge, information, the skill to solve the problem. I've created a step-by-step process for them to follow through, and if they follow through, they're going to get results, and I've been able to measure those results. Now, how in the world am I going to deliver this? Now, I'm going to just pause here and give you about 2 or 3 minutes of teaching on this particular point because there's a few ways that you can do this, okay? Number 1, you can deliver this particular product via video, just like we're doing. You can actually get some cameras and you can go out and you can video this and you can pre-package it, and when they buy something they can get all your stuff immediately. That you could do it via video. You could do it through just a slide deck, like where they can hear you via audio but they only see your slides on the screen. That's one way to do it. You can deliver it via email. So you may create a series of 12 to 14 to 20 particular different emails that you put together, and you can just deliver your online product via email, okay? You can deliver your online product via a newsletter, okay, where you don't really have any of that. It's just a newsletter, and they're signing up for your newsletter, okay? And when they get that, they're going to get 8, 10, 12, 14 consecutive newsletters with good content in it that's going to be able to help them do what you're trying to do. You can deliver it that way. But what I want to tell you is the way you're going to deliver it is not necessarily as important as when you're going to deliver it. The way is not as important, but it's the when. Here's what gets most of us online entrepreneurs stuck, is we believe that we have to have everything perfected and we have to have it all in the can before we launch. And guys, that can take a super long time. So what I would tell you is, and I'll get to what you got to do in just a moment, but what I would tell you as quickly as possible, if you can set a date on the calendar, and you can launch your product very quickly. And I'm going to freak you out here when I tell you this. You need to launch your product within 30 days. You need to be able to launch your online course within 30 days. And what I'll tell you is if you don't do it within 30 days, chances are you're not going to do it. Because our brains are programmed as such that when we start something, we get momentum, and then the law of diminishing returns sets in, and after a while we lose that momentum, and before too long we have an open project, but we don't have a closed project, and we actually never launch. So you need to be able to launch your product within 30 days. It doesn't matter what you're doing, you got to be able to do it. So what I would tell you is when you are beginning to create an online course, regardless of what you're teaching on, put a date on the calendar and then launch your product. And what I'll tell you is regardless whether you're doing video, slide deck, email, or newsletter, I would encourage you to teach your product live. Okay, teach it live. Now, why live? And you say, well, Chad, how can I deliver emails live, or how can I deliver newsletters live? Here's what I mean by that. Is you put a date on the calendar. I'm going to launch this date, and then here's what you do. You back the train up. Okay, first thing you got to do is you got to be able to create a course syllabus. Now, I teach this in the Launch 28 class. If you want to jump on our online coaching, go to launchit.online, and you can sign up. It's $199 for the year, $29 a month, and I give you my Launch 28 class absolutely free, and I teach you how to back this train up. But what you do is you basically create a course syllabus. The course syllabus is a name. It's the title of your course. What am I going to name it? And you need to name your course a how-to without. So like, how to launch your product in 28 days or less without ripping somebody off, spending a ton of money, or burning out, okay? So how to without, those are always the best titles, or steps. 7 steps to, 12 steps to. Those are typically the best particular titles. A how-to or a step-by-step, that's the best title. So you create a title, then you create a 1 or 2 sentence summary or objective statement, is like I call it. What's the objective of the course? What are you trying to accomplish with the course? And then you outline your teachings, okay? And Module 1, I'm going to teach this. Module 2, I'm going to teach this. Module 3, I'm going to teach this. You literally outline it just like you're in high school when you write a term paper. You create an outline. That's what you do with your online course, and you create a syllabus, literally a class syllabus, and you can actually sell your online course, and all you have to have in your hand is a syllabus, literally. A syllabus. You got to know what you're going to teach, what the objective is, okay, and what are the classes involved in that, and then you can launch. And I do a whole teaching and training on this at another place, so I'm not going to go into much detail. But what I would tell you to do is do that live. So it doesn't matter what you're teaching on. Literally, it doesn't matter what you're teaching on. Pick a title, how to without, or 7 steps to. Write 2 or 3 sentences of what's the objective. So in other words, what am I going to teach, and then what's the expected outcome? Remember in step number 4, we said you got to be able to produce a measurable result. Put that measurable result right in your objective statement right there, okay? So people know that, hey, so in my objective statement, I say, Launch 28 is I'm going to take you from ideation to activation in 28 days or less, and you're finally going to overcome the fear and that procrastination brings. You're going to be able to launch your product and make money in less than a month, okay? Now, that's not polished. If I read you my statement, it'd be a lot more polished, but that's the gist of it. You have to be able to do that. Folks, listen, this is super simple. Don't overcomplicate it, okay? It's not rocket science, okay? Because you have in here, and you have in here, what it takes, because you've already qualified yourself, you have what it takes to be able to produce results for people. So literally produce an objective statement and move on. Then what you do is you need a way to deliver that. Now we'll get to that in just a minute, but you need to be able to do it live. So what I mean by live is you're going to teach class 1 Mondays at 2 o'clock, okay? This Monday at 2 o'clock. And then class 2 is going to be next Monday at 2. And class 3 is going to be the following Monday at 2. So you write a syllabus, you put the titles, and then you simply put the dates and times of when you're going to teach those classes. I have plenty of samples of that right now. I've got clients literally doing that right this moment. I have a guy by the name of Todd Stoudemire. Todd is a former Arizona Diamondback and 3-time World Series champions, got rings to prove it. And this guy's awesome. He's a great motivator. If you're in my ClickFunnels Design Academy or my Launch Academy, you've heard Todd speak before because we brought him in. And Todd had he wrote a book called Relentless Success, and we wanted to take that book and turn it into an online course. Okay, and so we did. We took the same content that he puts in the book, and we regurgitate that into video, okay, into tools and resources, and step-by-step and done-for-you resources, and then we put that in an online module, and we sell that for anywhere between $597 and $1,997, so $2,000, between $600 and $2,000. He sells that particular product, and we actually sold that product, and he didn't even have anything done, okay? And he sold a lot of them, and he made quite a bit of money right from his launch. Why? Because we created a syllabus. A basic syllabus that said, here's what we're going to teach. And what he did was he delivered his content in a webinar. People bought it in a webinar, and they joined him based on the dates and times that are in the syllabus. They joined him live, and he produced that content live. And what we did was we recorded it. So when he taught live, we recorded it. We can edit that up and make it look beautiful and polished for the on-demand folks. Okay, but it means that he didn't have to have it all done. He only had to have the next class done. Okay, and that's a beautiful thing. You may not have your entire course written, what you want to teach, but boy, I have a class coming up Monday, where I'm going to teach people, how to play piano, and I'm just going to simply teach them how to chord. And so all I got to do is write my lesson for this particular Monday, and then I can get that, okay, And then the following Monday, I know that I'm going to teach them how to improvise, so I can go and write that. And so the beautiful thing about doing it live is you don't have to have it all done. You just have to have the first lesson done. And any of us can do that. So if you want to create an online course, what I would tell you to do is you have to launch live, because procrastination kills all of us, okay? Hey, if you're just tuning in, we're coming to you from Frankfurt, Germany today. So glad to have you here. We're doing a training called How to Create an Online Course. Let me recap for you. Step number one, we have to ask the question, what does our audience want? There's no sense in creating an online course if somebody doesn't want your product. So you survey your database, your email list, ask them that question. You do blog posts or Facebook Lives, just like I'm doing right now, and see if you get some traction. Or if you're getting the same question over and over again, that's pretty much guarantee that people want it. And don't be afraid if other people have the same exact product that you're going to deliver. That's actually just proof that the marketplace wants what you have to offer. Step number two, we said you have to qualify yourself. Do you have the knowledge, information, or skill set needed to solve the problem of your potential student? Okay. Step number three, we said you have to create a step-by-step system that, if followed, will get your students results, okay? And it doesn't matter what they're doing. You can teach them a step-by-step system. Step A, do this. Step B, do this. Step C, do this, okay? Then the fourth thing we said is what you're teaching, does it have a measurable result? So in other words, if I'm teaching them something, is it going to make them more money? Or is it going to make them more productive? Or is it going to teach them a skill? And if you can say yes to one or more of those three things, then you have what it takes to create an online course. If you can't say that, then you still can create it, but you're going to have to sell that thing at a really low rate. I can teach somebody how to crochet, but if I can't teach them how to make money crocheting, I'm not going to be able to make a lot of money doing that, okay? Step number 5, we said, how are we going to deliver it? Are we going to deliver it via video or slide deck or email or newsletter? And what we said with step number 5 is, in my recommendation, I recommend that you deliver these live, not recorded. That way procrastination doesn't get the best of you. And what you got to be able to do is you have to be able to launch this within the next 30 days. You have to launch it within the next 30 days. Jump on, get my Launch 28 class, follow that thing step by step, okay, and it will launch your product quickly within the first 28 days if you follow it step by step. But don't procrastinate. You can do it. And one last thing before I move on to the last 2 points is you can do it. This is key for you, because some of you are beginning to wonder whether you got the moxie. No offense to the hotel that I'm staying in right now called the Moxie, but do you have the moxie to teach what you really want to teach? And you have these doubts in your mind that maybe I don't have what it takes. Maybe I'm not smart enough. Maybe I'm not a good enough communicator. Maybe I don't know enough. Well, boy, that guy over there, that gal over there, boy, they're prettier than I am, or they're more handsome than I am, or they're more successful than I am. You know, I haven't even made any money. I'm trying to teach people how to make 6 figures on this thing, and I've only made $10,000. Am I the right person? What I would tell you is yes, because all you have to do is you have to be at least one step ahead of the people you're teaching. That's it. You don't have to have it all figured out, but you have to be committed to getting it all figured out. And as long as you're 1 or 2 steps ahead of the people that you're teaching, you're ahead of them. You can teach them what you know, what's immediately in your rear view mirror. So step number 6, okay? If I'm going to deliver it via video, PowerPoint, email, a newsletter, and I'm going to do it live, then you have to ask yourself the question, what platform am I going to use, okay? What platform am I going to use to teach this, okay? And in my opinion, the best platform to use is a program called ClickFunnels, because it's nice and simple. It's not real difficult to figure out. It's a little spendy. It'll cost you $100 a month, but it's got everything for you. It's got your, all the forms that you need to get people to sign up and to register. It's got a sales page software where you can sell this. You can do your webinar in ClickFunnels, and then you can actually put your online course in a membership site right there in ClickFunnels, and it'll really help you out. It's nice and simple. It's not the most complicated and complex system in the world, okay? So there's definitely other systems that have more bells and whistles and better features, but if you're just starting out, ClickFunnels, in my opinion, is the best way to go. So go ahead and jump on board and get ClickFunnels. If you're going to sign up and you haven't signed up yet, make sure you reach out to me. I'll give you my affiliate link in order to do that. But so ask yourself the question, what platform am I going to use? In my opinion, I use ClickFunnels. And then finally, and there's a ton more I can teach on this, but what are the lessons, step by step, how to and done-for-you resources that I'm going to offer. Now, here's the thing. What we know about online courses. Teaching, listen to me closely here. If you hear nothing that I say, I want you to listen to this. Teaching does not sell. It doesn't matter how much you know. They can find that on YouTube. Okay, they can Google it and find it on YouTube. It doesn't. So don't just provide an online course that gives people knowledge and information. It doesn't help. Okay, it doesn't help. Nobody pays for that. That's why you go to a book and you'll pay $20 for a book, because nobody pays for information anymore. Okay, what do they pay for? They pay for resources and tools, step by step, done for you, and how to. That's it. Step by step, done for you, and how to. Let me give you an example, okay, of this, okay? So I have an online course I haven't sold in a while called Get Paid to Podcast. And the training that I give you in Get Paid to Podcast is really good. Okay, it's great. In my opinion, out of all the podcast online courses out there, I like my training better than all of them. Now, I'm a little bit biased because I'm me, right? But I've seen a lot of them. I mean, I've seen the John Lee Dumas is out there, and he's good, but it's not great because it's way too simple and it's got a lot of holes in it. Okay, there's other ones out there that are even better than John Lee Dumas's. I'll put my content up against anybody because I don't just teach you how to podcast. I teach you how to take a podcast, and I teach you how to create a business out of that podcast, or use your podcast to leverage your existing business. I'll put my content up against anybody, but nobody cares. Nobody wants to buy the content. But if I tell you, hey, listen, I've got contracts that I use to secure sponsors with. I've got a flow sheet that I use in order to put my show together. I've got an interview sheet that I use that I process when I'm interviewing a particular expert on something. I've got a media guide that I use in order to get out to be able to secure sponsors. I've got all the equipment lists that you need in order to pull off a podcast. I mean, on and on it goes. I've got like 50 resources in that thing. Okay, that's what you buy because you don't feel like you can recreate that. You're like, Chad, I can go recreate the content. I can go find somebody that can teach me how to podcast. But boy, I don't know if I can go and find those 35 resources that you offer in that podcast course. I don't think I can go reproduce that on my own. I want that. I need that. And that's what people pay for. People pay for your resources and your tools if they're done for you, step by step, and how to. They don't necessarily pay for your content. So if I was to go and teach somebody, whatever, if I was to teach them, let's pick something out of the air. If I was to go and teach them how to speak better, okay, let's say that I had an online course to teach you how to be a better speaker. I could go on and I could work with you on how to create your introductory and your hook. Okay, and then I could teach you how to do your first 5 minutes. I could teach you how to use humor and comedy. I could teach you the power of threes. I could teach you how to outline. I could teach you how to land that plane. Okay, I could teach you all the content needed in order to deliver an incredible speech. Why? Because I've delivered thousands and tens of thousands of speeches in my life. I was a pastor for nearly 20 years, so I spoke in front of hundreds, if not thousands of people each and every weekend for almost 2 decades, right? So I've got what it takes to be able to do that, but here's what I don't have, okay, is you don't care if all I have is the knowledge or the wisdom, because you can find that teaching anywhere. But if I told you, guys, I have the exact outline that I use to have delivered thousands of speeches, okay? I've got a flow sheet that I use that you'll be able to use. I've got a form to show you how to put humor in your conversation, and as long as you follow this little formula and fill out this form, you've got it. I've got a document that if you want to get paid, okay, you follow this form to a T, and you'll be able to put this on your website, and you're going to get paid tens of thousands of dollars to speak. Okay, I've got that form. Okay, I've got a media guide that tells you where to put your picture and your title and your topic. If I tell you to get all these resources, you're going to jump on board and buy my online course because of the resources that I have. So step number 7 is, what resources can you offer to your particular clients that's not only going to get them results, but it's going to save them time. And if you can come up with those, and what I would tell you is, for every lesson that you teach, come up with 3 to 5 resources. So if you have 7 modules, come up with 21 to 35 resources that you can package together with that, and people will pay you a lot of money. The more resources that you have, the more people will pay you. Content does not sell, resources sell. I hope you hear me when I say this. If you want to create an online course, don't just focus on what you have to teach, but focus on what you have to offer in the form of resources. Hey, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to take those right now. So go ahead and feel free to put those in the chat room if you're in the ClickFunnels and Launch Academy room. I apologize, I'm not in there live today. Hopefully some of you guys have migrated over here. But you can, if you go ahead and, if you're watching this on demand, go ahead and put your questions in, and those you can email to me. And I'll stay attached to the thread, and I'll be able to answer those. But let me recap the 7 steps. 7 steps to creating an online course. Do you have what it takes? Well, you have to ask yourself the question, the topic that you want to teach on, is it something that your audience wants, okay? Have you surveyed them to find that out? Have you done blog posts or Facebook Lives to find that out? Are you getting a lot of questions? Number 2, have you qualified yourself? Do you have the knowledge, information, or skill set to solve the problem? Step number 3, have you figured out the exact steps that somebody needs to take in order to get results? Step number 4 is what you're teaching, does it have a measurable result that produces either physical or some kind of productivity in their life? Or does it teach them a skill set? If it does, you can charge money for it. If it doesn't, you can charge a little bit of money, but you're probably not going to get rich doing it. Step number 5, how are you going to deliver it? Video, slide deck, email, newsletter. Are you going to do it live or recorded? I recommend that you do it live, and you simply create a syllabus with the title of your course. Remember, the title needs to be How to Without, so how to launch your product without burning out. Okay, or 7 steps to launching your product in the next 28 days. So either put a how-to without title or a step system as a title. You need to come up with a title, then an objectivity statement that says, here's what I'm teaching and here's what the expected results are, and then simply outline your classes. Class 1, here's the title of it, here's a 1 little sentence description of it, and here's the date and time that I'm going to teach it, and you can actually teach that live, and you can sell it, and all you have to have is a syllabus, okay? Step number 6, we asked, what platform are you going to use, okay? There's a lot of them out there. I recommend ClickFunnels, but there's plenty of them out there. You can use Builderall, you can use Lead Pages, you can use a WordPress site and attach it with Wishlist if you want to. You can use CourseCats. There's all kinds of Zippy courses. There's all kinds of platforms out there, Kajabi, all kinds of platforms that you can use, but I recommend ClickFunnels. If you haven't signed up yet, be sure to reach out to me and I'll give you an affiliate link because I offer a free coaching session when you sign up with my affiliate link. Step number 6, that was what platform you're using. And finally, step number 7 is what kind of resources, step by step, done for you and how to, can you attach to the teaching that will allow somebody to make this teaching portable and quickly, and they can't duplicate and replicate that, although they can duplicate and replicate your teaching. So those are the 7 steps. I got a bunch of questions. Let me get to these, and if you have some, just put them in the chat room. Tehran says, how can you turn your content into resources? That's a great question, Tehran. One of the things that I've been able to do over the course of my career is be able to take authors, okay, somebody who's got a book, and they're able to sell that book for 10, 15, 20 bucks, and they make 5, 10 bucks on a book. That's all they do, okay? But I've been able to help them take that content and repurpose it in videos, in ebooks, in step-by-step done for you how-to resources, and be able to sell those, and we can sell that as a system, not as content, and make a lot of money. But you have to be able to process that. So what you do is, how do you turn your content into resources, is the easiest way to do it is when you teach, get your teaching transcribed. Okay, transcribe it, go in and edit it, and immediately you now have an ebook to go along with your teaching. So that's one thing. Second thing that you do is you ask yourself the question, what else could I create to be able to help them apply? So for instance, if I'm creating an online course, if I'm teaching how to create an online course, well, I think if you had a flow, a schedule of, okay, here's what you do day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, so like a calendar, if I was able to create that. Okay, if I was going to do something to help you get over mindset, I'd create maybe a mindset wheel or something like that. You just have to ask yourself the question, what is it as a coach that I have to be able to help you get the most amount of results? And you sit down and you create that and you formulate that. But chances are The best type of resources are the ones you already use, okay? My guess is you probably have emails that if you're getting a client, you probably already send out emails to them. Well, those are great resources, okay? Things that you already use. Chances are you already have a schedule type system. Chances are you already have things that you use in your everyday life, okay? Little life hacks and tools and resources that you currently use in your business. Those are the best tools and resources because you can say, hey, I'm going to give you the exact day-to-day calendar that I use in order to grow my business. I'm going to be able to give you the exact intake form that I use in order to get clients. I'm going to be able to give you the exact flow that I use in order to coach clients, okay? If you can do that, if you can just take what you already use, repurpose it and package it, those are the best kind of resources to use. Matt says, if you're teaching a skill like piano, what are some examples of resources you might be able to create and offer? Well, Matt, like if you're teaching piano, okay, a couple skills and resources right off the bat are, videos. Like obviously you're going to teach some kind of video, but you want to think of like, can I create like a chart, maybe something they can hang up, okay, on their piano that says, okay, like the 1-4-5 method, like, what's the 1 mean, what's the 4 mean, what's the 5 mean, something they can see. So like some kind of visual chart. Perhaps you could get like little stickers that says, C, D, E, F, G, A, and that they can stick on their piano keys. So that would be like some kind of little resource that you could give them. Maybe you could give them something an audio that they could take with them when they're listening to the car that sort of puts some of that teaching in their head. I mean, there's all kinds of things. So if you give me some other examples, I may be able to come up with some other ideas. But just think about like what would be cool. What would you like to have if you were going to learn how to play piano? What would you like to have? What would be cool for you? Okay. Joseph says, I'm considering launching a training course which could have 25 to 30 modules. Probably 30 minutes per module will be required. Is that too big? No, Joseph, it's not. But here's what I would tell you is don't produce something with 30 modules. What you want to do is you want to produce like 6 or 7 modules that may have 4 or 5 lessons in each module, because then it's not overwhelming. It's actually possible to have too much information in an online course because people think, wow, if it's that much information, I'm never going to be able to consume it. I'm never going to be able to win. Therefore, they won't buy it. Your online course needs to be able to get somebody from step A to step Z as quickly as possible, and don't feel like you got to throw the kitchen sink at them. Give them enough to be able to solve their problem and be able to help them out, but don't overwhelm them, because overwhelm them creates more problems, doesn't solve problems. So yes, 25 to 30 modules is too big, but I'd break that down into multiple steps. Bridget says, instead of webinars, what else can one offer as a live option? Lots of people fear speaking on the spot. Preparing in advance may be easier for most. Yeah, Bridget, great question. In fact, I do a course. I've done a training called How to Launch a Product Without a Webinar, because so many people are afraid of webinars, and they're quite complicated, and most people aren't really good at selling. So what are different ways to do that? And I've got a cheat sheet that I can give you. It's 11 ways to sell online without a webinar. If you'll send me a text when I get back to my room, I'll try to send that back to you. But here's what I would do when it comes to live. If you don't want to do a webinar, then what you can do is you can do the survey method, where you send a list out to everyone who purchased. So here's what I'm purchasing. Here's what they bought, and you can send it out. What you can do is you can send a survey and says, hey, listen, guys, class 1, I'm going to be teaching on this particular topic. What do you want to know about it? And take a survey, okay? And then what you can do is you can go and you can actually pre-record that one class, okay? And then edit it, do everything you can to make sure it fits your comfort level. And then instead of offering it live, just simply play it live, because you've already recorded, it's already in the can, and you can simply play that live. You can use a program like Webinar Jam that people can sign up to, register, and you can put the recorded video in there, and when it's time for the live, you just simply hit play and let it go, okay? Or what you can do is you can just create a module system, like a membership site system in the back of the ClickFunnels, and then just on the day that it's supposed to go live, just upload your video to that module, and people can go in and they can watch it, they can read it, and they can download the videos on the particular day that you're going to quote-unquote drip that to them. So that's 2 ways that you can do that. If it doesn't help you, go ahead and let me know, and I'll be able to help. Okay. Juan says, what are the best places to distribute the repurposed live recorded audio written content? What are the best places to distribute it? Juan, help me figure that out. In my opinion, ClickFunnels is where you want to distribute that, because you don't just want to distribute it, you want people to be able to pay for it, and you want that information to be behind a locked portal where people got to come in, pay a little bit of money, they get a username, a password, and then they can only access that content after they use the username and password. So in a membership site on ClickFunnels, in my opinion, is the easiest way to be able to distribute that repurposed information, live, recorded, audio, written content, repurpose it there. Joseph says, great stuff, thanks. Bridget says, awesome, thanks, Chad. I'd appreciate that. Yeah, send me a text, Bridget, and I will get that to you. Any other questions before we get out of here? I'm talking to you today about how to create an online course. Now, I want to show you something. Via Facebook, Instagram. One, be a little more specific in your question there, so I know exactly what you're asking. I'll be able to give you a specific answer to your specific question. Okay, so give me a little bit more information on what do you mean about Facebook, Instagram. Let me just show you something here. Okay, if you'll notice today, when I went on this piqued a lot of interest. We haven't had a ton of people watch. By the time this video, makes its way around the internet in the next 3 or 4 days, I'll probably have 1,000 to 2,000 people watch this. But right here, I've never had more than 14 people on at one time. But if you notice, I've had a lot of interaction, a lot of people coming on, going off, but lots of questions, okay? So that would tell me in my first step that this concept of how to launch an online course should be something that I should create an online course for. Why? Because I'm getting a lot of questions about this particular topic. See, this is a key to you figuring out whether you have what it takes or whether the audience wants what you have to teach, is are they asking questions? And so that's something for you to think about. So if you can get on and do a Facebook Live and people begin to interact with you, chances are, ding, 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 it's something that you need to teach. Well, guys, thanks so much. I'm in Frankfurt, Germany, and I've got a bunch of calls still to do this evening. I know it's morning there back in the United States. Thank you guys for your freedom and your flexibility. And with me, I know some of you, it's been a little inconvenient because I've had to cancel some appointments with you, but thank you for giving me the flexibility to be free in what I do. I always try to give you as much as I can, and if I can over-deliver for you, great. But love you guys, really appreciate you. Here's one last question. Juan says, when you repurpose content, what are the platforms that you distribute to? Facebook, Instagram? Okay, I see what you're saying. So one, what I do is when I repurpose something, so like, once again, I always put that in my membership portal, okay? But if I want to repurpose something for the sake of getting more leads, yeah, I just put everything on Facebook. I don't do Instagram. I don't even know Instagram. I have an Instagram account. I don't think I've posted in literally 7 years, if it's even that old. I have no idea. All I know is the last picture that I put in there was a little bitty shoe that I bought my daughter, I think when she was like 5 or 6, and she's 12 now. So I don't use Instagram. So I don't know anything about Instagram. Leah Latini is your Instagram girl if you want to know something about that. But what I would tell you is to just repurpose a small piece of it to establish your credibility, put it on Facebook, get a lot of feedback, and then move them over to your membership site and get them sold as quickly as possible. I didn't even talk about pricing yet, but what I will tell you is industry standard is if you're not an expert or a guru at what you do, okay, so in other words, if you don't have tens of thousands of followers, $1,000 is about the maximum that you can sell an online course for. You want to sell $297 to $997, somewhere in that range, but you want to be able to offer multiple steps. So offer something at like $397 that everybody can get, and then give them a little bit more, and then that's $597, and then put some one-on-one coaching in it, and that's $997. So give 2 or 3 different price points in anything that you sell, and that'll be able to help you. Patrick says, how do you translate this to a class that is oriented at kids? In the case of my wife, who's doing a ministry class for preteens, teaching art skills to go from basics to advanced to practical skills, as well as parents trying to make it interesting and enjoyable, but also practical for those who want to take it a step further. How do you translate this to that environment? Yeah, so Patrick, great question. What I would say in Charlotte's case, let her teach her art, okay? And if you're going to do it for kids, obviously that's going to be your ministry. You can't charge a ton of money for that unless you're teaching a kid how to do it. So if you're just simply going to, if she's going to create some art to make people feel better about who they are, to be able to help them with some coping mechanisms, there's not a ton of money in that, but there's a lot of need for that. So what she's going to have to do is one of two things. She's going to be able to have to offer those skills for little to no money, and she may have to turn that into a 501c3 program where she's going to get donations for that. Or if you're teaching kids how to do it, so like if you're creating paintings and art and illustrations, to teach people how to do that, well, all you got to do is look as far as the Young Rembrandts program, where moms and dads are paying $99 to $159 a month to be in the one Young Rembrandts program. And what you could do is she could create a monthly class where she's going to teach a class 1 day per week, where she's going to go to a school or do it online or do it at a church or whatever. She's going to teach a monthly class to teach these kids how to paint and how to cope. And parents will pay for that, somewhere between $99 and $129 a month. If you want to be on the lower side where you don't want to charge families that much, $39 to $59 would be a really good rate for something like that as well, and you'd be able to make some money. Bridget says, enjoy Germany. Thanks, Chad. Loads of nuggets again. Trying to read your question here, Patrick. My wife is teaching art for ministry and trying to teach solid, real basics that could be taken into advanced things like, yeah, so what I would do is if you're teaching something that can be turned into a skill, people pay for that. Okay, I have 3 kids, as you know, and, I have 1 kid in soccer, I have 1 kid in cheerleading, and I have 1 kid in chess. Okay, and I pay a lot of money every month for my kids to be in one of those 3 classes because they're learning a skill. Moms and dads will pay money if their kids are learning a skill. We just won't pay a lot of money because we don't have a lot of money. But I would say somewhere between $39 and $99 a month would be your target audience. All right, guys, hey, that's going to do it for this class. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this. I hope that you benefited greatly from it. Do me a favor. This is going to go live here before too long. Do me a favor. Share this video if you can right now. Just go on and share this with as many people as you can. I'll be taking it down in a few days to put it into our vault for the Launch Fuel Online Academy, so make sure as many people get it before then as always. If you need some help with some one-on-one coaching, feel free to reach out to me. Or if you can't quite afford that and you want some inexpensive but great coaching, join my launchit.online program. It's called Launch Fuel, and the website is launchit.online. It's $29 a month or $199 for the year. If you take the annual option, the $199, I offer you guys a free coaching call, and if you were to buy that separately, it's $597. So I'm giving you a $597 product for $199, plus you get an entire year worth of coaching, and you get things like this all the time, plus master classes where I interview experts from all around the world on a niche in online marketing. And then I provide weekly coaching just like this. I do step-by-step how-to Saturdays of teaching you a practical skill. I break down funnels. We have open mics, etc. Lots of great content in there. Just simply go to launchit.online. Jump on board. It's $29 a month and $199 until the end of this year. And then it's going to go to $49 a month and $399 a year. So you better jump in right now. God bless you guys. Enjoy. I'm going to go enjoy Frankfurt, Germany.